What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dave Show. I'm just going to go through a couple quick things before we get started with the meat and potatoes of this video. I'll try and get through it fast. And I know people, including myself, don't like long intros. But first of all, I just wanted to say thank you to all my new subscribers. I picked up a lot over the last month or so, and I really appreciate it. Most of it's actually come off a couple of different firearms videos, but that's not the only thing I focus on here. It's a hobby of mine. It's probably my favorite hobby, but this channel also focuses on preparedness and things like that, and that's going to be more what today's video is about. But anyways, like I said, I appreciate all you guys that have recently subscribed. Had a couple comments from some new subscribers asking for some contact info, so I went ahead and set up a email for the channel. You can find the link to the email in my YouTube channel bio. But if you guys are curious, my email is thedaveshow63, no capitals, no spaces. So just thedaveshow63@gmail.com. If you guys want to reach out and have any questions for me, you just want to chat about some stuff, like feel free to shoot me the emails. Looking forward to talking to you guys in that format. The other thing too, is I have my first affiliate link for the channel. So I use Verily.com for all my ammo online orders, and I buy some other stuff from them too. They sell firearms, they sell all kinds of stuff. They sell firearms, parts, ammo, you name it. Great company. And the last time I bought ammo, I got this pop-up that was like, hey, you want an affiliate link? And I was like, yeah, sure. So same thing, you can find that in my channel bio as well. If you guys click on that link, if you need to go buy some ammo or something, it'll help the channel out. So I really appreciate that. And besides that, we'll get right into stuff. So today's video, I want to talk to you guys about kind of the state of the world, some of the things that I see that are concerning me the most, what I think you guys should be paying attention to and preparing for, things of that nature. And then after this video, I'm going to put out a separate video on setting up a baseline and the areas to focus on to prepare for these things. Basic stuff, which, you know, some of you guys probably already have covered, but it's good to watch those as a refresher, or if you're new to this stuff, it'll be a lot of good info for you. So unless you guys have had your head under a rock lately, you can kind of see that things are kind of nuts all over the place. The Ukraine war is still going on. That's been an ongoing thing. The Gaza situation is still going on. Now we have a lot of increased tensions between the U.S. and Venezuelan governments, and I think we have 3 carrier strike groups in the Caribbean now. And I'm going to get deeper into that in a minute, but there's a lot of kind of crazy stuff going on. Those are just some of the bigger items, but I don't know if you guys have noticed this as well, but there's a lot of people that seem extremely uneasy lately, extremely uncomfortable. Even some people that I watch on YouTube that are usually like even keel, cool as a cucumber. Like, they put out some videos recently that the concern I saw in them made me concerned. Not that I wasn't before, but it was just kind of like, oh, okay. Like, I kind of look up to this person. They're way better at this stuff than me, and they're concerned. Okay, now I'm definitely concerned, right? And I think, you know, I put out a video not too long ago about shit hits the fan being kind of a slow burn. And although I do think that's all valuable and relevant information, and still a likely scenario, I do think that there are also some other likely scenarios that could occur, especially, you know, in the calendar year 2026 or at the latest 2027. So everybody right now in the globe, all these other countries, everything, they are gearing up and setting up. If they're not already involved in a conflict, they're getting ready to be in a major conflict. There's people, and I kind of am in this camp, that have said World War III has started when the Russia-Ukraine thing kicked off, I think that will be viewed in the history books when people look back at this as the start of World War III. And things are continuing to escalate all over the place. There's major conflicts and regime change things happening in Africa. That's been happening for a while. You see destabilization of European countries. You see large governments disarming their populace, like in Canada. There's a lot of stuff going on. And I think as Americans specifically, there's a lot of things that are going to start happening here that are not only unprecedented, but very unexpected, unless you're someone like us that keeps an ear to the ground on this kind of stuff and is concerned about preparing and preserving your way of life through disaster and wartime type scenarios. So we'll circle back to Venezuela now. I think that we will end up in a full-blown conflict with Venezuela. And I think it's going to be for a couple reasons. Number one, Venezuela, we're not really friends with their leader, Maduro. Okay, he's more aligned with the Russia-China side of things. But they have huge oil reserves and other resources. And when you talk about everyone, all these different countries getting ready for much larger global conflict, Venezuela is very close to the United States. And if we could either overthrow that government and install a leader who's more friendly to us, or take some other sort of control, we have now gained access to a huge oil reserve that's very close to the homeland. So that's reason one. I think we're gonna have stuff really pop off with Venezuela, who, by the way, I found out through some other YouTube channels and stuff like that, has asked Russia for aid, and Russia is now dedicating aerial assets to Venezuela. We have 3 carrier strike groups in the region. We've been saying that we're, fighting narco terrorists and blowing up all these boats, targeting them. I think that's a front. I think that is target practice for us. A lot of the Chinese Navy has a lot of similar, watercraft to those drug smuggling boats that just have guns strapped to them and things like that. So that's good practice for our guys taking those boats out for when things pop off in Southeast Asia. Don't forget about Taiwan, right? But I think primarily that's a training exercise. And I also think that if we go into full-blown war with Venezuela and they don't get a ton of aid from Russia, China, places like that, which China has a ton of Belt and Road Initiative stuff in Venezuela as well. But I think it'll be a good warm-up for us. Recently, I don't know if you guys, this is kind of a tangent, sorry, but if you've ever seen the Longest Yard remake, not the original Burt Reynolds one, but the newer one with Burt Reynolds and Adam Sandler. I just watched that recently, so that's why I'm referring to it. But the whole reason that they have that inmates versus the guards football game is because Adam Sandler goes to the warden of the prison. He's like, oh, you guys need a tune-up game. You need to go out and play some team that's worse with you and blow them out, and it gives your guys confidence. It gives them practice, and it really gets the ball rolling for a good season. I think U.S.-Venezuela conflict is warm-ups for a much larger global conflict, especially in a jungle environment, right? Because it's in South America. You're going to get the Marines and all the other foot soldiers, the people on the ground, everybody will be getting real-time combat experience in jungle environments, just like the ones that we'll probably be in Southeast Asia. Okay? So I would not be surprised if we go to full-blown war with Venezuela. And, they'll get aid from Russia and China potentially, and it'll be kind of a proxy war, the same way Russia-Ukraine is a proxy war between Russia and NATO. It's going to be the same thing, but it'll be the reverse, where it'll be the US/NATO against Venezuela, and mostly just the US, because we don't need NATO for that. And I don't even know if NATO can get involved in stuff that's not in Europe. I'm not sure. But Um, that's what I see, and those are my thoughts on the Venezuela situation. Aside from that, I'm not going to get into a ton of global stuff, but that is kind of at our back door, very close by to the US. And that's why I was touching on that. And that's also been in the news a lot lately and things of that nature, too. Um, on the domestic side, I think you're going to continue to see all the things that I've touched on in previous videos about a slow societal degradation in this country. But I think what we're seeing now is that it's starting to pick up. Okay. The government shutdown hasn't affected me one bit, but I know it is affecting government employees, you know, air traffic control, stuff like that. And it's also the biggest thing lately has been the ending of SNAP benefits. As of November 1st, people aren't able to use their EBT and SNAP benefits to get food. I think something came out a day or two ago that's saying the Trump administration is going to like pay out 50% from some emergency fund to those recipients. But I think that, and this is just my personal opinion, but I think that there's a couple goals the administration has with these SNAP benefits. I think number one is they're trying to get more people back off of the government teat. Okay. Number two, I think they're looking to further destabilize the country. I think that they are intentionally going to squeeze the poor even harder, um, make them even more desperate, get the people at each other's throats even further. And the longer this government shutdown runs on, the worse it will get for the people that are relying on the government for food aid specifically. And I like I said, I don't know the exact intent, but part of me feels like we are trying to kick the hornet's nest of those that are impoverished and already have their back against the wall in this country. Like the economy sucks, and now we're taking away their food supply as well. Um, so now they're even more desperate. Now that's going to lead to violence and stuff like that. You've seen a lot of clickbaity YouTube videos about how all the grocery stores will get raided and everything else and all these things. Well, that hasn't really happened yet. Aside from some isolated things that people focus on and push out there for the algorithm or whatever, like at least where I live, none of the grocery stores in my area have been looted or ransacked or anything else like that. And I live in a decent area, but that doesn't mean there's not people here that are on SNAP benefits, and I'm close to some cities, or I'm close to a city, which is Providence, Rhode Island. And even in Providence, I haven't heard anything about any of those stores getting looted or anything else yet. Okay, if this shutdown continues to drag on, people are going to get more and more desperate. Any extra food they had or any extra supplies they had at home are going to start to really run out. And that may be a bit of a game changer, but I don't think, obviously it was kind of a big nothing burger. All these YouTubers were talking about it and all this stuff. And although there may have been some small scale looting and rioting and stuff and people trying to take stuff from grocery stores, it didn't happen on the level or the scale that everybody talked about. Now, I think there's an issue with people on YouTube pushing that kind of stuff because it almost helps feed back into this nothing ever happens loop that plays in a lot of people's brains. Oh man, it's all doom and gloom. They're telling me to go panic and buy all this food because the stores are going to get stripped bare by, crazy people that are starving because they don't have their SNAP benefits. And then that doesn't really happen. And then you're like, oh, okay. So like, I'm good. Like all these are just fake things that people do for clicks. It's never going to happen really. Like that's not true either. It just, in this situation, it was kind of a nothing burger, right? Regardless of that, what I think is going to happen within the next, let's say, calendar year, so it's November 2025, I think by November 2026, things are going to look a lot different, both globally and domestically. And then I don't know if you guys follow Bear Independent on YouTube, one of my favorite channels. I've gone out and trained with him. I've met him, great guy. But he's been talking a lot about everything, everywhere, all at once. And I fully agree with him on that. And he knows a lot more about this stuff than I do. But I think here domestically, when global conflict does fully break out, like I'm not talking with Venezuela necessarily, I'm talking with Russia, with China. China's the biggest threat. It will be everything everywhere all at once, because all these people that don't like the United States, they're all in league with each other. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? Excuse me. Had some chili for lunch. Sorry. So I think what you're going to see here in the United States, all the things that people talk about on YouTube, all the scary stuff that people tell you to prepare for here domestically that hasn't happened yet, will all happen simultaneously. So what I mean by that is I think that the power grid will go down. At the same time, cell towers will go down. So you won't have power. You won't have cell service. You won't be able to get fuel, you name it. Okay. Most of us don't keep cash, or if we do, it's small denominations, under $100 cash. Your ATM card, your debit card, your credit card, you name it, it's all going to be worthless immediately. People are going to freak out. In conjunction with the power, internet, and cell service outages, I think if the sleeper cells are going to activate, that's when they're going to activate at the same exact time, all over the country. Okay. And I think it's deeper than just like terrorist sleeper cells. I think you need to consider the fact that the cartel presence in this country is massive. That's basically a standing army within the US that's already ready and used to operating outside of the law. And when these things happen, fire, EMS, police, that stuff's going to go away very quickly. And a lot of those people, I think, will end up just taking off to go home and try and protect their families, right? But that's going to embolden all these big gangs, these cartels, to just continue operating the way they were. They already have a somewhat experience, I guess you could say, with violence and controlling people. And this will just embolden them. There'll be nothing standing in their way and stopping them from really doing whatever they want to do. And if they're gangs and cartel related and all this stuff, they're in league with China, Russia, all these countries that we don't like. They're going to be doing their bidding here in the US. Something else to think about: the drug problems in this country. Okay, when all these service, when the power, when everything shuts down all at once and there's terrorist attacks and everything else, if you're a junkie, none of that matters. What matters is getting your next fix. Okay. And you're already buying illegal drugs. Who are you buying it from? Most likely somebody that's gang affiliated or cartel affiliated or both. Okay, so you want to score some more drugs? I need you to go do this for me. Okay, those people will do it. You see people already that like prostitutes, right? How many prostitutes or drug addicts that have sex for money to buy more drugs, or have sex with people so they give them drugs? That's just one example. But again, that's in a rule of law situation. Like, this stuff is just going to explode if what I think may happen happens. And I'm not trying to freak people out. I'm not trying to like facilitate doom porn on YouTube or anything like that. But these are things I think we all need to keep in mind and that we need to be preparing for. I'm trying to step up my preparedness levels big time right now. And not just in the firearms category. That's actually something I'm trying to shift. I've been focused more on firearms due to some legal things that have happened in Rhode Island, like you're not going to be able to buy ARs anymore in Rhode Island after, I think it's July of 2026. So I've been buying strip lowers, stuff like that. I'm shifting my focus. Okay. I'm focusing more back on the food, the water, sanitation, that kind of stuff. And I'm, besides buying some ammo and continuing to stay up on my skills and buy more ammo, like I'm trying not to buy any more gear or guns or whatever else, because that'll only get you so far. You're going to need water. You're going to need food. You're going to need your prescription medications. You are going to need all this stuff. And you're going to need that on a lot more frequent basis, most likely, than firearms. I'm not saying they're not important, but the other things are more important. I hope this isn't a rambling video. I mean, I guess it is. But I hope you guys are able to get some information out of this. I hope you leave some comments down below and tell me what your thoughts are on all this stuff, what you think the most likely, I guess, course of action, or not course of, like, what do you think is actually going to happen? Like, I want to hear all your theories down below, because if we use the comments as a sounding board, we'll all be able to take that information in and say, hey, that's something I didn't think about. Maybe I should add that to my list of things that I'm concerned for and preparing for as well. I'm probably going to cut the video here, but like I said, thanks to all my new subscribers. Thanks to you guys that have been here for a while. If you need me, you can hit me up on my show email now, the Dave Show email. But besides that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.